Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We have a great show for you today. We have a special guest. That special guest is Lev Parnas. And you know who he is? He is the guy who, formerly MAGA guy, formerly one of Trump's right-hand inner circle guys, who knows everything there is to know about Trump. So we got in contact and I did an interview today, and we're going to do this more often. We're going to do a few Substack lives as well, because we have a mission. All of us in this space have a mission. And that is, we have to point out to this country that we are close, if not already, into authoritarianism. And it's something we have got to arrest right away. And good for us, we have many folks who know how things have operated on the inside, including our brother Lev Parnas. And we're going to talk to him in a little bit. So before we get started, I want to say welcome aboard to everybody. Now, I've missed the first few set of people. Forgive me for that. March KJ says, I'm so glad you're having Lev. Absolutely, March KJ. Welcome aboard. AVQ was the first in the house. Welcome from Brooklyn, New York. Patrick Mao from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Jackie Charles Kempisi from Katy, Texas. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs. Joe from Los Angeles, California. And I have missed a whole lot of folks in the Substack. Forgive me, but it is there. So what I'm going to do is it's a fairly substantive interview. So what I want to do is go ahead and get that interview started as soon as possible. Of course, because I was running behind, I don't have it queued up into the system, but I just got it queued. And let's go ahead and let's get busy. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Today, we're honored to have Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas is a Soviet-born American businessman and former associate of Rudy Giuliani. Parnas, Giuliani, and others were involved in getting the false Biden-Ukraine conspiracy theory, which is part of Trump-Ukraine scandal's efforts to damage Joe Biden. Parnas is the author of Shadow Diplomacy, Lev Parnas and his wild ride from Brooklyn to Trump's inner circle. On July 30th, he will receive the Pillar Award at the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival in Washington, D.C., along with Senator Tom Tillis, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, and rest in peace medical debt co-founder Jerry Ashton. Hey, Les, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Blessed. Thank you for having me.
You know, first of all, you are sort of what I consider a very intricate kind of guy. Why don't you, in your words, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'm an immigrant that was born in the Soviet Union. Now it's called Odessa, Ukraine. That's why some of the stuff that I write about pertains to Ukraine, Trump, and Russia, and a lot of the stuff that we are currently going through. I came to the United States when I was 3 years old. This was 1976. I've been a U.S. citizen ever since. I love my country. I grew up in the United States, grew up in Brooklyn, New York, grew up on the streets of New York. Didn't grow up with a silver spoon, and we came over here from a country that we were persecuted at the time. We all immigrated to a little enclave in Brooklyn called Brighton Beach. And basically now it's called Little Odessa. And that's where I grew up. So I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, simultaneously similar to how Donald Trump, at the same era as Donald Trump, was making his rise in the real estate world. Through my years, I've been able to see lots of interesting individuals, from some of your most powerful mobsters, oligarchs, world leaders. I've traveled all over the world. Started when I was 17 years old in 1989. I was sent back to the Soviet Union on behalf of lots of people in the United States to do business, be the intermediary. And ever since, I've been very intricate in a lot of things that happened. I was there during the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 when the tanks came down. I was in what now is called Russia. Know a lot of the players very, very well. And until eventually, our worlds, mine and Donald Trump's, collided by
intersected. But let me ask you this, Lev: how did a guy off the streets get himself to be surrounded by these people of power? I mean, that is, in watching you and watching interviews that you've done over the years, my thing is always that somebody is special if they can say, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but still yet the people that I was able to hang around as I grew up, as I got into business, was, I could hang with the best. How did that happen?
Looking back, I think it's a combination. I think what my mother instilled in me, to always be humble, humanity, and, always looking at somebody else from putting yourself in their shoes, basically. And when life put me in all of these interesting situations because of just being in the right place, wrong place, however you want to put it, at the right time and being there. But being able to survive, I was able to build relationships with these people from a side of all of these people are very powerful, very, what's the right word that I would say, that they're all narcissists. So they're all,
What did they see in Lev? Because you're proving a point. The reason I'm pushing you here is you're proving a point that I've talked about all the time. So, and it comes from immigrants that make it here to the United States. There is something special about people who can defy what quote unquote their surroundings should have led them to be, and you are one of those.
I appreciate it. And I think one of the biggest things is I was real with them. I was always real. I wasn't, everybody wants something from them. I was always real. I was always in a position. I always dealt in a position of power. It's like playing poker. You know what I'm saying to you? I always represented that I had the best hand. I always, but one of the other things that I brought to their life, a lot of them, was that part, because I'm also a very big family man. I have 7 kids, and I always, even though in my travels and everything I did, I tried to intertwine my family, which would bring their families into it, which would never be a part of any of their lives, because it would be a totally different world.
Right.
So it was kind of bringing a little bit of that humanity, but also reality. And I think that's the biggest thing I brought, that I was able to intertwine in that world.
Well, I mean, that is great. I mean, I'm glad you expressed it in that way, because I think it's important. A lot of folks don't understand that, they give immense power to this narcissistic few, not realizing that is the rest of folks that really have given them or allowed them to have the perceived power that they have. And I think you proved that. Now, you've been in quite a tizzy with Brother Trump. Tell me a little bit about, it's more than a tizzy, but tell me a little bit about, first of all, that story about that really got a lot of this stuff started and sort of got you in trouble about telling the story about what occurred in Ukraine. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what happened was originally I was hardcore MAGA. They would call me the OG of MAGA. I was there with Donald Trump in the beginning. Those of you that read my book or will read the book or saw my documentary by Rachel Maddow, you'll see it was basically our worlds collided. I was never involved in politics. I was a street guy, always involved in business, all kinds of different business that led me all over the world, but also intertwining with people like Donald Trump, and our lives intertwined, even going back to when I was a 16-year-old kid. I worked for his father, Fred Trump, selling condos back in Brooklyn for, Trump properties. So our lives always intertwined, even maybe not directly, but indirectly, with even the people that I would associate and Donald would associate. When he made his run for office, I was there. I was by his side, especially that time when, nobody thought he could win. And there was a few of us that really were his loyal, like inner circle, me, Rudy Giuliani, and others. And when he won, it became like that small inner circle clique,
And you were still there. You were still with him.
Yeah, I was not only there, but I was one of the leaders of that clique. And that's where, the MAGA started formulating and pushing it, because at that time there was a Russiagate. They were attacking Trump. And we instilled basically, which was instilled in me at the time, which I wasn't realizing, but I was being basically programmed into the cult. I thought I was, all good doing, but in the meantime, I was getting myself brainwashed and falling for the cult of being in the same echo chamber of watching Fox News or right-wing media, being around the same, senators, congressmen, hearing the same conspiracy theories and all stuff. And eventually your brain you start believing so deep and heavily into it that I started believing that there's a deep state. I started believing that the Clintons and the Obamas and George Soros were out there to try to destroy our country. And when you start believing it, you start seeing things, you start looking at things. It's like looking at a cup. You could look at it half full or half empty. It depends on what perception you're looking, at it. So when you're looking at things from from an angle now that you're looking at it as a conspiracy, you're starting to find look at, he said that. Look at that, which you would normally not even pay attention to, but now you're looking for ways to go down deeper into that rabbit hole. And basically it brought us together to a point where one day we had dinner and he brought up the conversation of Ukraine, and I told him about that he needed to get rid of the U.S. ambassador. And that was that day basically. And I told him, just because I'm a Brooklyn kid and that's how I speak, I didn't mean to literally kill her or get rid of her or throw her out or stuff like that. I meant he needed to put somebody in place that was more loyal to him and put a different ambassador, fire her, whatever the case. But the media blew it out of proportion. Like I said, take her out, and he said, take her out. And after that, basically, we went on he sent me on a mission to Ukraine to dig up dirt on Joe and Hunter Biden to force the Ukrainian president to announce an investigation into the Bidens. It all started even before Zelensky with the first president, Petro Poroshenko. I gave the first quid pro quo. Then he sent me to Vladimir Zelensky. I gave him the second quid pro quo. I'm the one that halted, gave him the news that they were going to halt, Trump was going to halt military aid that I was the messenger. And I was very close in their circle doing that. When I got arrested and when I got deprogrammed and got out of, started and decided that I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to come out and speak truth to power and tell the world exactly everything I saw, was a witness to, because it's not even the things that I was a part of, but I was also a fly on the wall in a lot of them. In his 4 years of administration, I started, I wanted to go speak to the Southern District of New York, the FBI, the DOJ, but they wouldn't speak to me, because what I started realizing is they were trying to cover it up. Bill Barr was trying to shut me up, not get to the bottom of the truth.
And what year was that? What year was that you attempted to go
2019,
to them?
2006 years. Okay. And a lot of people don't even know, but out of the 300 articles of evidence in the impeachment, the first impeachment of Donald Trump, 100 of those pieces of evidence are mine that I handed over to the intelligence
committee. Yeah.
I also then not only doing thousands of interviews and speaking truth to power in all of these newspapers and podcasts, but I also testified in front of Congress during the sham impeachment of Joe Biden, when in front of James Comey in the House Impeachment Committee, where I basically ended that whole impeachment after my testimony then died. That whole trial, that sham died also. So I've been on a whirlwind ever since that, to be able to tell the truth exactly who Donald Trump is, who his inner circle is, because it's not just Donald Trump, it's his enablers, it's his inner circle, it's people that are around him, which each and every one of them I have very close and personal relationships, text messages. I mean, you name it, from Pam Bondi to Kash Patel to, Ron DeSantis, you name it. I was more than you could say close in that inner circle.
So you were actually one of his right-hand men out there that was sort of a buffer to everybody else trying to get to him, right?
Oh, at that time, yeah, you could say that, absolutely. I mean, I was the buffer between Giuliani and other very powerful congressmen, senators that. It was funny to watch because I'm a Brooklyn guy. I wear my gold chain out. I don't walk around suit and tie really. And here, all these good old boys come. My wife usually used to laugh at me and say, "You don't belong in there because this is like a good old boys. Like this is like they're smoking cigars, you're smoking a joint. Like you're different people but because of like what we started off with because I think of that special gift that God gave me to be able to be, my sister calls it, you're a people person. That's right. What my spread, she goes, if your title, you're a people person. So I was able to obviously also be very, very intertwined into the world.
Well, you have a couple of pictures with you and Trump where you can actually see that Trump is hugging you and it looks like, yeah, my buddy here, it's almost like he wanted to be around you because you did give him that little bit of flang, if you will, Now, look, when they arrested you, what did they really, who arrested you? What did they really, why did they do it?
That was the beginning of the cover-up. So, a lot of people don't know that a few weeks prior to my arrest, the whistleblower complaint came out. And that's how the impeachment of Donald Trump started. There was a whistleblower that came out. In the whistleblower complaint, I was named. Mm-hmm. Bill Barr was the first person to see that whistleblower complaint. When he saw that I was going to be subpoenaed by Congress to testify, Bill Barr already knew because there was an ongoing investigation for the past 7 months since Bill Barr came into office. He was overseeing the investigation into Rudy Giuliani, myself, my partner, and to this whole Russian influence campaign that they were this espionage that they charged me with originally. And because originally they tried to make it seem that I was working for the Russians, that I infiltrated Donald Trump, that I fed him all this, that I got rid of the U.S. ambassador, they were trying to pin me on because I was an easy scapegoat. I didn't belong. I had a shady past. I knew all of these, powerful people all over the world. I was the translator to Donald, I'm saying to you. And at the end of the day, if I wasn't blessed and fortunate that somehow I was able to save all of this stuff in my iCloud and my wife got to copy it because they tried to shut it down, destroy it, and make me look crazy, there would be no way I would be able to prove any of the stuff and they would just shut me up. And that was the game plan because they arrested me all day. I was at the Trump Hotel. They could have arrested me at any time but they waited until I got to the airplane to arrest me to make it look like I was trying to flee.
Exactly.
When I wasn't fleeing on that flight that day, Rudy Giuliani was supposed to be with me on the flight. He canceled 2 hours prior to the flight. So,
he knew what was happening.
Oh, of course they gave, because can you imagine Rudy Giuliani? I'm arrested sitting next to Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney. This is 2019. This is not right now. This is when nobody even knew how crazy Trump could be or to what degree. This is when Trump was, these people still, didn't understand. And so, and then the whole thing, you got to also understand, I was flying on behalf of Trump, Rudy Giuliani. I had a deal with Fox, Sean Hannity, to get Hunter Biden's hard drive. That was the trip. So I wasn't fleeing. They knew it. The FBI knew it. They were following me, but they made it seem that I was fleeing, that I was trying to run away with some. And you also have to think how stupid they are, but how, it still works for the public because people don't pay attention to the little things. Is the indictment on me was sealed. They unsealed the indictment a day after they arrested me. So just think about that. So they unsealed it. So how would I even know that I was going to be who was I running from?
Right.
It's so that's why when I was sitting in prison for the first 12 days, for the first 2 weeks and going through it, that was one of the things that was hitting me and saying to me, this is a cover up. This is something, this doesn't smell right, because and I even tested it because I said, hey, I want to talk. Bring me the agents. Nobody would come. So, I'm saying to you, they didn't want to talk. They didn't want to hear until I started speaking up in the media.
So they were going to make you a scapegoat.
Oh, yeah.
With the permission of Donald Trump to just throw you away.
Right. I mean, they charged me with espionage. Espionage is a charge where for the first 10 days I had zero rights. I couldn't even call my wife because with espionage, they take away all your civil liberties. They tortured me basically the first 10 days. And then they put some of the most crucial bail conditions on me, from ankle bracelet. I mean, you can't even imagine 24 hours locked down for 3 years. I couldn't leave the house even to walk my dog or take my kids to school or to a baseball game or anything like that. And then at the end of the day, my charge, what I went to jail for was election.
A donation. Donation.
Donation. I checked the wrong box of a donation to Donald Trump's campaign, which then they gave back. But that nobody's ever gone to prison for this. But they also needed to amp it up, so they charged me with a wire fraud charge from 12 years of a business that I did, with my partners, and they went to scare them, and to be able to charge me with the wire fraud. So then they added some wire fraud charge. So I never, it's originally when they arrested me, I was facing life in prison, 100 years, all of that. And the other thing, which I put them to the fire because I took my case to trial because and they wanted to give me 12 years even for this. Just think about it, 12 years for donating $2,500. And just let me explain.
And checking the run box. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's not even checking the wrong box. It's so crazy. So I don't know if you guys even know this. So me and my partner had a business. Mm-hmm. He had a credit card. I had a credit card from that business. And those charges, we would each charge off. The accountant would do at the end of the month or whatever. So when we went to donate, he donated to Pete Sessions on his credit card $2,500. And I donated $2,500 on my credit card. The FBI said because that account is the same card, we overpaid. So we were illegal. It was a straw donation or a legal donation.
Right.
So that's the whole gist of the charge. So that's what I ended up basically. And they made sure to scrub anything that had to do with Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Ukraine, or anything from the trial because they superseded me and dropped all those charges. They dropped anything having to do with Trump and basically the campaign finance, election fraud, or whatever that charge was.
So he has protectors all along. And even as Barr attempted to make it seem like he'll stand up to Donald Trump, in reality, he was just a stooge to Donald Trump as well.
Well, Barr wasn't his stooge. You see, the difference between like Bill Barr and Pam Bondi is a stooge. Bill Barr was trying to protect him. And Bill Barr was still back then in his first administration, all of the people they call rhinos now, were people that came in that thought, okay, he got them there, but they were going to run the house. Like Bill Barr was trying to protect him from getting impeached by making me the scapegoat. Because Donald Trump did not want me getting arrested. Donald Trump wanted me to go pick up that laptop from Hunter Biden. Bring it here. But Bill Barr didn't, because Bill Barr understood that this was all Russian propaganda. And if I would come here with it and I would get subpoenaed, I'd go into the Congress and make Donald Trump look like an idiot because I'd be sitting there talking about Russian propaganda. So Bill Barr wanted to shut it down so it wasn't Donald Trump. It was like me. It was me, my partner. We were the Russian influence. And that blew back in his face, even with very big so, because, Donald Trump didn't stop. They kept going and going, trying, even when they tried to shut me up, Donald Trump and Rudy went even further to deal with the Russians and went directly to deal with Russians. I mean, it was beyond.
Now, Lev, here's the interesting thing, right? In a real world, in a world where we had real journalism, your story, because all of what you're saying is corroboratable. You can corroborate just about what you've said, everything that you've said in your book, elsewhere. You don't get a special with Rachel Maddow unless all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. I know Rachel Maddow too well. She will never put herself in a position that says, you were snowed.
Well, just so you know, Rachel Maddow, my documentary that she did was her first documentary for her. This is the biggest it was, and we just got nominated for an Emmy. We didn't win, but we also got nominated for an Emmy for it. So, no, I won not only Rachel Maddow, but MSNBC lawyers. They put everything, because especially Donald Trump is suing all the networks.
Right. Right.
I think everybody should know. Donald Trump is going after all ABC, CBS. Donald Trump's not going after me. He's not going after Rachel Maddow. He's not going after MSNBC because
he doesn't want Discovery. He doesn't want Discovery.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. I mean,
he wants it to go by. He wants it to go by the news cycle.
if he comes at you, he has to go through. And in fact, Discovery is probably the things that is, and I hate to put it this way, Lev, the thing that is saving your life right now is they don't know what the hell you have in which cloud all over the damn
100%.
world. That's like a safety valve right there.
Not only the cloud, but I have it like a CD. I got it in the
everywhere. And and that's what is saving your skin right now because you know too damn much. And the thing about it is here's what gets me. The mainstream media, if they were really doing their jobs, they would ask you to go into some sort of a collaboration, especially given that we know we are on the border of fascism right now, of Absolutely. A president that is really a clear and present danger to society. They would try to get the people who actually know what's going on to get there. And the fact that they don't do it tells me that this is a lot deeper than Donald Trump. Donald Trump himself is actually not even the leader of this thing, but it's bigger than him. So tell me in that context your thoughts.
100%. So you said, I mean, very, very well said. Donald Trump is just a showman. He's a face. He's a face for people like Stephen Miller, Russell Vought. These are people that have made Project 2025. They've written it and now they're using it. And behind the scenes, they're the ones that are implementing. And we are living now, we're not on the cusp of it, but I write about it every day in my Substack. Mm-hmm. We are living in a fascism.
Tell us about your Substack, because I just started your Substack, and tell us how people can get to your Substack. Very important Substack.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to follow my Substack. It's levremembers.com. That's my website, or my Substack is Lev Parnas I think it's at Substack.
It's not.substack.com.
Substack.com. I'm not technically that.
Right.
Yeah, my son brought me the Substack, Aaron Parnas. He's actually, when we talk about independent journalism, he's one of the top independent journalists right now out there in the country. And he told me, he said, Dad, you have to come out there on Substack because this is a community where you're able to freely talk and speak truth to power the way you want to. Because before I would be on Twitter, X, all of these social media platforms, and you would get my content would constantly get flagged. Every time I would try to say something about Donald Trump, either Elon Musk or TikTok would ban me. So it was constantly difficult. So I went over to Substack, and that's where I do my writing now. And they have also a video where I'm able to do live streaming, and I'm basically going to war with Donald Trump. I've been number 1, 2, and 3 top in world politics for the past 2 months. I
noticed. I just saw your number 5 today, if I recall correctly, which is excellent and necessary at this time. But Les, we're running out of time. Yeah. So let me go ahead and ask you, what would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
Oh, great question. What would I like to ask? I mean, the one thing that I think you touched on that I think it's important that I'd like to talk about is that where we're living in fascism and what Donald Trump is doing right now and what my sources are telling me. And I think what's important for us to keep the eye on the ball is part of Project 2025, which Donald Trump calls election reform. And what he's doing right now is he's implementing certain, especially because of the whole breakup in his mega world, the blow up because of the Epstein files and everything that's happening right now. He understands that 2026, that they're going to lose the House. They probably might even lose the Senate. And he knows that 2028 is around the corner where they lose everything. And he understands that just like what he did with Bibi Netanyahu and Sari from Brazil by interfering in there, getting them not to go to prison, he knows that's his own fate. That if the moment he's out of office, the craziness and everything he's doing. So he's trying to implement, use ICE to start putting him at polling stations, take away early voting, change DOJ rules of how they could prosecute and go after election fraud, implement their, by state different policies. So this is where I am saying saying for everybody right now to look, because if he gets away with it, then we're in huge trouble, because then he won't need all his enablers like he needs, because right now he's still relying on the enablers, but they're cracking from his big, beautiful bill, that ugly, disastrous thing that he pushed through, that he took a lot of hits from with his even own base to this Epstein blow up. So this is where I want everybody to keep their attention on and focus on. It's called election reform in Donald Trump's world.
We've been speaking to Lev Parnas. He will be receiving the Pillar Award at the Whistleblower Summit and Film Festival in Washington, D.C. First of all, congratulations on winning that award. And look, thank you so kindly for what you're doing right now, because I think it is what I call a country-saving venture at this time in our history. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And God bless everyone. God bless America.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. There was a lot to digest there. The important thing that he's speaking about, and I hope everybody got to it, and it came at the end of the interview, and that is Donald Trump knows that once he leaves office, he's a target again for all of the bad things that he's done, the criminal things that he's done, the illegal things that he's done. It is known that he'll have to face the pauper if the right people win the election. So it is his goal to send. You notice how he invested a lot of money into ICE. ICE is going to become the largest police force in the United States, larger than the FBI, larger than the guns and whatever. It's going to be the largest police institution in this country. And what you see them doing against the immigrants right now, the attack that you see on the immigrants is something that's just a practice for what's going to occur to all of us. Don't dare forget that. These are all practice runs. How you doing, John?
Oh, I mean, I'm just breathless here after your interview. It would be nice to be able to ask Lev, some questions about Donald and Donald's father, since he was relatively close. And I've heard some really interesting things about the fact that, or somebody had told me that actually Donald Trump had met Putin years and years ago. He's been in Moscow toward the end of the Soviet Union. He tried to, I think he wanted to build a hotel there. He is just totally for himself. And these people that worship and follow him, it really is a cult. I mean, he's like the Jim Jones.
Lev actually said so. Lev says he had to decult himself. He points out that he had to decult himself because he said, being from the inside, those people that follow him, it is really a cult. And if you listen to some of the folks that we have in our chat as well, not in the Substack chat, but in the chat that we have for YouTube and Facebook, you actually see the cultish nature of these people's psyche in how they try to twist everything. Trump can do no wrong. Every time he does something, they find a backstop or something like that. It is a cult. But the dangerous part, John, is what they said in the end. And that is what we have to work towards. Remember, they've already funded the largest police state. They've already funded it with the big bad bill, funded $100 and something billion, upper 180 something billion dollars.
40.
For the ICE, okay? And ICE is doing its test run on how many people can it just grab off the streets and let people feel like it's normal. The idea is to let people believe this is normal. And they are going to set up, and he already said he has inside information from some of the folks that are still on the inside with Donald Trump that will be setting up at certain parts of the country in certain voting areas in order to control the vote. I mean, they're not going to necessarily go into the machines, but to control the vote. And that is what we have to watch about and have our posse ready to ensure that we don't let intimidation factors work at all. But again, we're going to look. You're going to have some time to ask Lev some questions because we're going to be doing some Substack lives, and on those Substack lives, you can ask some questions, etc. And we'll probably when Lev has some time, we'll probably bring him onto our system here, where people can call in like you're calling in to ask questions. Anything else, my brother?
No, but I mean, voter suppression and, the destruction of the democracy, in other words, that people cannot vote, is something that we need to focus on. And I think Greg Palast has, for like the last 20 years, done a deep dive into how this is done. Our voting rights are weak. It's not protected. We are not a strong democracy, apparently, because if you could so quickly capture and create an authoritarian regime and, have very little pushback about, from that, we're teetering on the edge, but we need to just keep going.
Yeah. Let me just point out something that's important. This is important because we sing a lot of glory, glory, hallelujahs to our Constitution. Our Constitution were written by men who were looking out for their own interests. Let's not forget that. Let's not glorify it. Let's not demean it. Let's just say the way it is. These guys were preparing a Constitution, and in this Constitution that they prepared was first and foremost one in which they will do well with whatever the laws were. And one of the problems with that, Brother John, is that it wasn't a well-written document in that it doesn't do a lot of protection. All right. That's why it's so easy for Congress to transfer its power to the executive. That's why it's so easy for the court. We could actually codify into the Constitution that certain powers cannot be delegated. We could do that. We could point out in the Constitution that the president could never, ever go into war without all of those things could be written in the Constitution. We could have written in the Constitution that the environment has to be protected, just like we protect human beings, or all of that. It could be written. I always talk about the South African Constitution because it's a more modern constitution, has a whole lot of that implemented within that Constitution proper. We don't. And again, if instead of us singing glory, glory, hallelujah, and patting ourselves on the backs, if we instead said, look, we've made it this far, thank the lucky stars. We've made it as a country this far. Now let's try to make it further by doing the things that are necessary. Right. Doing what's necessary to make it a better country. Thank you so kindly for your call, my dear Brother John. Take care, buddy. All right. The next subject that I want to talk about, welcome aboard, Stagan, Bergen Creek. Why are we even fighting for this racist country? We should burn it to the ground and start over. That is not a viable alternative, Stagan. Look, when you, it's easy to say that, right? And I can empathize with the sentiment. I really can, but it is something that is not really plausible, right? And say, let's just start over. We have to work with what we actually have. Good afternoon, Maywood from Long Beach, California. And let's see what else. Anthony LaFranco says, I don't disagree yet. It is the Republican Party who has given Trump all of the opportunities to destroy. Yeah, exactly. And the only reason the Republican Party or any part of Congress can do that is because the Constitution allows that, right? So that's what it's all about. A better written Constitution would sort of prevent that occurrence from happening, right? Let's see what else we got here. Carl Cox says the Republican Party is working at the state level with the aid of the courts, especially the U.S. Supreme Court, to throw out votes that don't go towards Republican candidates. It can happen. Yes, it can happen. And that is what we have to be. Look, we also have to let these people fear what occurs if they take advantage of us, right? In other words, a lot of Republicans get away with a lot of stuff because a lot of people think that their faction would just create chaos. So instead of allowing chaos to occur, many times they are appeased. They need to feel the same way about all sides, that absent fairness, there will be chaos. I repeat, absent fairness, there will be a justified chaos absent fairness. And that, if you really believe in these things called the mutually assured destruction, that is the kind of stuff. And then we won't have to get into the position that our friend Stagan mentioned earlier. All right. Oh, wow. Eric says U-Haul and Ryder are running specials now. Great. So why don't all of Trump cult go rent some U-Hauls and see if you can, waver yourself down to, I don't know, maybe go to, you probably need to see if U-Haul are going to start having some boats, because then you guys could take some boats to Russia. You know what I mean? Eric, U-Haul isn't going to help you much. So consider getting a boat, and then all of you guys can get on and head off to Russia. But as far as the rest of us, we are not leaving America. America is ours, and we are not going to let cultists, we are not going to let evil cultists, racist, and all the above take us out of the country. We have too many good people already around, and it just won't happen. There are more of us than there are of those that hate this country. There are more of us here, okay? There are a hell of a lot more of us, and we are not conceding it to these cultists. Never, ever, ever. Just a warning for all of you guys that think you are glory, glory, hallelujah. For all of you who believe that, who like to wrap yourself in the flag, but really know nothing about freedom. For all of you who wrap yourself in the flag, but know nothing about honesty, you guys can wrap yourself in the flag, throw yourself on a boat, and head on off to Russia. Okay? Head on off to Russia. All right. Now, let's see what else we got here. The next subject that I want to talk about, my brothers and sisters, is Josh Hawley. And I want you to listen to me here. This is important. Josh Hawley think he's smart. And I don't see a lot of the mainstream media capture what he's doing. And what he's doing is fairly ingenious, okay? What Hawley is doing is fairly ingenious. Hawley didn't want to get the wrath of the cult. Remember, even many in the cult, they want their Medicaid. They want all of that. But these are not critical thinkers, and I don't mean to shade these people. I don't mean to, but it's important for me to say that to make my point. These are not critical thinkers. They won't actually understand what Trump did with the big bad bill until they go to their checking account and see if they receive their stipend from the government, or if they go to their special card and see that it is zero, or they get a piece of mail that says, hey, John, you have to go to work for 20 hours. And if you don't, you have to resubmit all your application for your SNAP benefits again. And that could take 6 months to process. That is the way the Republicans wrote this stuff to save that almost $1 trillion. That's how they designed it, to put so much chaos in there that for 6 months they don't have to pay you as you re-up your stuff, right? Your grandmother is a nursing home. Her house was worth $385,000 when she went into the nursing home. It is now worth over $500,000. Cha-ching! She has to re-up every year for that nursing home. The nursing home then sends a bill. It's going to be $10,000 a month for grandma. And you say, wait a minute, Medicaid is taking care of grandma. Nope. When grandma didn't fill out the application again, she fell off the system. Or when she filled out the application and put her address in, the price of the house was too high. So now she doesn't qualify for that, for the nursing home taking care of her. A lot of these things are going to start happening. And where are they going to happen the most? They will happen the most in MAGA land, red states, because they're the poorer states, they're the sicker states, they're the states where most of the people in nursing homes are on Medicaid. So all of that's going to happen in 26, right? Late 26, 27. And that's when they're going to find out about all of this. They won't find out about and then don't talk about tax and tips and no tax on overtime. As soon as the Donald Trump's period is over, those tax cuts are gone. Those tax cuts are gone in what again? 2027. Gone. So these folks are not going to understand this until it hits them. Until it hits them. And then they're going to say, what happened there? So what is Hawley wanting to do now? This is what Hawley wants to do. Hawley wants to go ahead and say, hey, I didn't want all those changes that are happening. And by the way, the hospitals won't wait until 2027 to close. The hospitals are looking at their books. They're making their current budget. They make their current budget and they say, wait a minute, in 2027, we won't be able to pay our bills. We won't be able to pay this. So we got to close shop. So they don't close shop in 27. They close shop in 26. What does Hawley want to do now? Hawley wants to go ahead and he wants to author a bill to save those Medicaid, Medicare, etc. He wants to author a bill now. And I think it's written a bill. And that bill is to go up against the bill that he just signed that cut Medicaid. But no Republican is going to vote for, or most Republicans are not going to vote for that bill. So he's going to need Democrats to come in and say, okay, Democrats, help me save Medicaid. And by the way, Democrats, you have always said that you don't want to cut Medicaid. So if you don't support this bill that I signed, right, that means you, Democrat, don't really mean what you said about not wanting to cut Medicaid. And then when he prints his ads will go say, Democrats refuse to sign a bill to support Medicaid. I mean, it's ingenious what he's trying to do. He hasn't said it. Nobody has spoken about it on TV, but I can see what the plan is. The idea now is to try to throw it back at the Democrats. But I have an answer. I'm saying, you know what? I'm with you, Hawley. If you come up with a bill that completely funds Medicaid, I will help you with that bill. But within that bill, I also want to make sure that those jobs that you took away from Missouri people in that green energy deal, I want to put that into the bill as well, because again, I want to reemploy those people that are going to lose their jobs. And by the way, Hawley, you remember those cuts to SNAP? I want to add that back as well. The cut to SNAPs that you voted for. Oh, I want to put that back into the bill, and then I'll sign the bill. And when he goes out and he tries to make a commercial, they don't want to save Medicaid. Say, oh yeah, we want to save Medicaid. We want to save SNAP. We want to save those jobs, those manufacturing jobs and construction jobs that Josh Hawley broke. But he doesn't want to sign the bill. Democrats have to learn to play the same game, because Hawley knows a bill isn't going to pass. So his reality is he don't really give a damn about those poor Missourians. He doesn't give a damn about those kids not getting SNAP. He doesn't give a damn about any one of them, because if you did, you would not pass a bill that you were not sure could have been overturned before it took into effect. You would not ever do that. But again, he knows one thing. His base do not critically think. So he thinks he can pull that one over his base. He will only be successful in pulling that one over his base is if Democrats allow that to occur. And how can Democrats mitigate that? Every single hospital that closed between now and the election and beyond, you should be up there with the parts of the bill that are effective in causing the closure of that hospital. Every single job that is lost in Missouri, Democrats send a caravan to Missouri. When these job sites are shutting down, right now in Maine, electricians that were fully employed, they're no longer employed because the solar farms are being taken away. The solar farms are being defunded. I didn't see a bus full of Democratic law persons saying, the reason these guys are not working, and make a big national stink about it. Go out there in a bus, in a caravan. The reason these guys are not working is because the big bad bill cut the funds for all these electricians. And you make it, and people say, oh, but there's not going to be coverage. Yeah, the mainstream media may not cover it, but you go out there with bloggers. You go out there with the new media. Remember what I've told you? How Kamala Harris wasted $1.2 billion. Because this same methodology could have worked if while she was running, She went into all the places that Donald Trump screwed when he was president of the United States. I would have gone into Appalachia. I would have gone into there and said, this particular plant closed courtesy of Donald Trump. Get the bloggers out there. I would have gone to Texas, where we have certain energy corridors, and said, this was caused by Donald Trump. I would go to the obituaries and find out all the dead people that are dead for lack of health insurance. And I would point it to the Republicans not supporting the health care. I would look, if you really care about people, if you really care about winning a battle, a war, you first realize that you are in a war, you are in a battle, and you act accordingly. You know who doesn't know how to do these things? The expensive consultant that Democrats use in DC, New York, LA, and these places. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They wouldn't know a working class person if they spit in their face. They wouldn't know one. So while we have the Democratic Party, the DNC, they go out there and they pay pollsters. What is this polling today? How is this poll going? That's ridiculous. Those people have no clue. Mandami went out there and talked to people. These people didn't care if Mandami wore the democratic socialist mantra, which a democratic socialist mantra is an honorable mantra. But they didn't worry about all the other stuff people would say. He won his race in a landslide because he spoke to the people and he listened to the people, and the people felt that to him, they mattered. To him, they mattered. But neither one of these parties have proven that you matter. Progressives on their own have tried to do some of this work, but they need to do so much more. So much more. So folks, we're coming to the end of my time here. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I hope you enjoyed this piece here on Hawley. I want to invite everybody that's listening to the program to become paid subscribers of our program. We work very hard to make sure to bring you all the stuff. We also do trainings. We do a whole lot because, as you know, I was speaking to Lev when I spoke to him today, and I said, you know what, brother, we need to do some of these talks together as well to further inform. Why? Because the mainstream media ain't doing it. Other people, we have to encourage other people to do these things. And Hirut, you're absolutely right. So folks, my brothers and my sisters, if you believe in what we're doing, if you like what we're doing, I'm asking you not only to support programs like mine by becoming paid subscribers, but other people that are not just talking, but other people that are out there beating the pavement, doing the work. I'm heading off to New Orleans. We're all progressive, not all, but the 3,000 to 4,000 progressives would be out there beating themselves and getting together on planning, etc. We are going to be out there. I'll be interviewing a whole lot of people in the next few days. I will also provide. Thank you for being, those of you who subscribe to KPFT, thank you so kindly. I'm also asking you to subscribe to Politics Done Right, Egberto Off the Record. It's a very inexpensive subscription, and that actually helps our program here, which is not only at KPFT, but all over the place on several other networks, etc. But again, we get the work done, and we are going to continue getting the work done. So those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, please help those of us in the independent media, and specifically the progressive independent media. Help us move forward. That is what we've got to do. Help us move forward. And to do that, you can become a paid subscriber of Politics Done Right by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And I'm putting that in the chat right now, in both chats, actually. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Support us. Support, make your list of independent media that you know is doing the work, and give a little to all. That is what is so important, folks. We cannot do this without you. You are the one that's going to help us mitigate the dereliction of duty of the mainstream media and the misinformation coming from the parties. Only you can do that by supporting us. And again, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and that is how you can become a paid subscriber. And you get a whole lot of perks, as you're seeing on the screen right now, a lot of perks that we provide, etc. But anyhow, thank you in advance for your support. My name is By the way, you can write me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com. Info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Willies. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.